people wander into these places, and it's crystal clear, it's beautiful, it's wondrous, it's intriguing. You're lost in thought of wow, and they have no idea that they've wandered into the very place that's killed over 400 people. Behind them is silt already, and behind them are multiple choices and direction, and things unravel very quickly, and people die. A lot of people go, well, what makes you keep going? And it's a true love for exploration. It rivals the most fantastic places on the planet. You know, think of the Grand Canyon with a roof over it and the ability to fly weightless anywhere you want to go inside of it. As human beings, a certain number of us are explorers, and I was gifted with that. I have a deep, deep curiosity for the unknown, and that works very well for going to fantastic places that people haven't been before, and it also works very well for filmmaking because you have to be curious, you have to be always searching for that angle, that look, that story.
I go into a cave, and where some people will just see frightening darkness, I see a doorway that enters into a new environment that maybe someone else has never seen on this planet. It's a doorway to a remote, unexplored piece of our Earth. It's like swimming through the veins of Mother Earth.
Oh my God. Will you look at this?
There goes the floor of the cave.
Woohoo! I don't think I've ever seen a drop like this.
The magic of these places is held in the unknown, and then all of a sudden the floor drops away and you've entered this massive room, and there's formations and geological history. There's every science on Earth held within these places. This is a world in which the secrets to our planet are held. We're standing in between Jenny Springs and the Santa Fe River here. This is the confluence where groundwater that comes from the Floridan aquifer is leaking up out of the earth, forming these grand cavern cave systems. And just upstream, a quarter a mile from here, is Devil's Eye and Devil's Ear. And it's another major cave system. It has 33,000 feet of mapped underwater cave passageway. It has rooms in it that you could put a football stadium inside of it. This place also has some somber history. There's been over 20 deaths in here. Certainly, in my mind, the most tragic one was 3 brothers that drowned in here that wiped out the entire family lineage. And what's so sad about the story was that we came up with this concept called the no lights rule in the early 80s. And the idea was, unless you're trained in cave diving, don't take a light down into a cave. If you don't have the training and experience, then the blackness of a cave will repel you and you won't go into the cave. But it's that light that gives you the artificial enticement to feel like you can go in there. And we had just established the no lights rule here, and we're enforcing it. And these 3 brothers tried to sneak the lights into the water. I found all 3 brothers holding hands together. They were lost and they died. This sport is incredibly dangerous. and I have, unfortunately, a lot of firsthand knowledge of that. It's very dangerous for those who have no training. They're scuba divers, they've got their open water certification, and they wander into a cave, and one of the big problems is a lack of perceived danger.
Cave diving is quite an extension from regular scuba diving, and it requires someone who's completely at home with problem solving in very challenging situations. You can't surface if something goes wrong. You've got to solve your issues underwater no matter what comes your way. Add to that technology like rebreathers and challenging dives, further and further inside the earth, and then put filmmaking equipment on top of that, and you've got quite a lot to deal with underwater.
These are just fantastic places with wondrous things inside of them that people virtually have never seen. We're talking about, even in today's world of cave diving, just the smallest handful of people on Earth that have ever gone there, much less taken pictures and films of it. So I feel very privileged. Our team at Crypte Productions gets to capture things that no one has ever seen, and a lot of times we'll never see again. And so it's a fantastic world that we live in.
Wes, we say, has an advanced degree in curiosity, which is neat. It's engaging. I mean, he's curious about something and he goes after it and learns about it and finds out about it. When he hired me as a producer, he hired me because I was a good solid diver and could multitask. But he said, Jill, I want you to come to Antarctica, help me figure out the technology we need, teach me how to use the rebreather, and I want you to produce the film.
So I invited her on a project that I had put together and pitched, which was a pursuit to see the largest iceberg in recorded history. This is the largest moving object ever recorded on the planet, and I decided that I wanted to be the first team to lead this trip down there.
And we're the first people to dive inside of an iceberg, and it was just an amazing experience. We descended down this just amazing blue fissure that just looked endless. We had no idea how deep it was going to be, and we made it down to the seafloor. And then as I looked to my right, I realized that the entire iceberg was undercut with tunnels and fissures that had been created by the currents, just like a limestone cave. And there was unbelievable life growing on the seafloor. There were little sort of hand-sized cockroach-looking like animals swimming around, and all kinds of filter feeders just feeding in the current. And we swam all the way underneath this iceberg and popped up on the other side. That really ranks very high as one of my favorite dives.
I've developed this expertise as a filmmaker. So the producer of The Cave started calling, and we heard Hollywood feature film, want your help, and I was like, eh. And they called, and he was persistent, and he finally got a hold of me, and I said, well, come out here. And we brought him here to our little humble facility, and we opened their eyes. They saw who we really were, and we want them to know we're the real thing. I mean, we're the guys that you're making this film about, and this is our turf, and we know it. And so Jill Heinerth, my partner who produces films with me, she's one of the best in the world, and she was the logical one to be the principal consultant. And of course, filming is my thing, and I encouraged them at that point to consider HD, and they had no intention of shooting HD. And I said, look, I know film. I've shot thousands and thousands of feet of it, and I know underwater caves. If you want to make this, you want to make it work, you'll listen to me and you'll do this film, at least underwater, in HD. In this case, we definitively knew that HD was the answer to bringing out that world, and that there would be so many things that we could do that film couldn't do. We took it to a level no one has ever taken underwater filmmaking. And it doesn't matter whether that's documentary or feature, we have that package. We've built that package here at Karst Productions. And we built it because we knew how hard it is to make a film in an underwater cave.
When we agreed to come on as the underwater unit for Cave, the one major stipulation we had is that we were going to crew our entire team, and there was no way we were going to shoot otherwise. We needed to make the choice on every individual personnel involved. And that's because, although we're just making a movie, it's no less dangerous than going on a cave expedition. In fact, at times, in Romania especially, some of the diving we did within the sets was a lot more dangerous than your average day on an expedition. We were shooting with fire on and below water, so propane gas explosions, we had air cannons, we had avalanches of fake rocks and real rocks. We were dumping buckets of sand and limestone on people and cameras. And all of that had to be coordinated very tightly in order to maintain safety.
So we've just had a little scare underwater here.
She was the perfect person to be the technical consultant for the film The Cave. She had the patience and the knowledge to explain to wardrobe what the outfit should look like, and to work with the actors and train them how to use the gear and how they should walk and talk and look and how they should behave and how we think.
Our unit was successful because we're all teammates from expeditions and harsh environments and challenging situations. We're used to working very hard and working well together, and I think we only managed to pull that off because we knew each other so well and could pull on a very diverse group of talents.
And it even got to the point in the Yucatan that in the actual film they've used shots, the water's so clear, they've used shots that I've done underwater. I just dedicated a whole day to shooting POVs. James McQuaid figured out a way to cut and paste HD and film together, and you'll be looking at shot and film of the team wandering through the cave, and the ceiling will be HD, and it was that good.
When the project started, no one envisioned the scope and the magnitude of what was going to have to be done. And about 2 months into the project, the director, Bruce Hunt, turned to me and he said, "Now I know why no one's made a movie about a cave." It was tough. It was tough.
We'd gone through situations that were much more extreme than working on a Hollywood set. And so in the end, they were handing us these lists and saying, we hope you can get all this done. We had a month to shoot in the Yucatan, and 2 weeks into that month we were done. And Bruce is like, "I can't believe it." and there's nothing I need you to reshoot. The stuff is phenomenal.
All right, let's take it a little slow. We're breaking the line to be ready.
Right on your tail, man.
Besides being an explorer, I'm really interested in the technology involved in exploration. I am really interested when someone brings a problem to me and says, we want to go to this environment and nobody's been here before and I don't know how to do it. What kind of tools do we need and how are we going to make this happen? Traditional scuba divers use equipment that we call open circuit. And what that means is that they inhale from a tank, and when they exhale, they make bubbles into the water column. A rebreather diver recycles everything that they exhale, so they make no bubbles. So you inhale from one hose and you exhale, and those captured bubbles are scrubbed clean of carbon dioxide. A little bit of oxygen is added, and then you're able to use that gas again. So it's an amazing savings in things that you have to carry through a cave. The kind of cave diving that you see in the movie is what we call sump diving. So you're hiking through dry cave and then you dive through a water-filled space, and then you hike some more and you dive some more. And so realistically, a modern cave explorer would want to use this rebreather technology because there's less stuff to carry, and they're able to use it for a much longer duration underwater.
So you can stay submerged for what, 18, 20 hours?
24.
And then they can fight off horrible demons too.
An interesting thing about the film The Cave is it's really based on our lives. There's nothing in that film other than wild creatures that don't exist to our knowledge. Everything else has happened. I mean, literally everything in that film, your worst nightmare scenarios, falling down waterfalls, getting trapped, everything has happened to our team and our group of friends.
We have an opportunity to go places that people haven't ever envisioned, and to bring back images from those places is just amazing. It's challenging, it's difficult enough just to go there, but to take all of the filming equipment and bring back beautiful images so that people get it and understand our motivations for wanting to go there is challenging, and it's a privilege.
It's led to an incredible life that's taken me all around the world exploring. And what comes after exploring is learning how to map and doing cartography. And as an artist, I love drawing pictures. And to be a person that's the first one to ever go someplace and lay that line and survey that data, you know, we're truly modern day explorers in a world that you think is explored. You know, you think that we've seen everything, but caves offer that one place, that final frontier on Earth that you truly don't know what's there.
We know so little about caves. We know so much more about space. We even know more about our oceans than we do about these remote caves on our planet. And to me, that's just the spice and the excitement of exploring them.
I know my family doesn't want to lose me to a cave, but it's not something I can turn and walk away from. It's just too deep in me to be an explorer, and I would stop being who I am if I stopped exploring these environments. It's just too powerful of a call, and we try to minimize the danger, and we try to minimize the risk everywhere we can, but it's a dangerous sport.